Okay, so the topic for today's seminar is tools. Seminar, let's keep the focus on pedagogy, on teaching and learning, and how these tools for collaborative projects help us achieve our goals. And the objectives for the seminar are as follows: that you will be able to identify the tools for collaboration available within Blackboard course management system. So we will stay with what we already have. Identify potential uses for discussion groups, Wikis, and Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. Discuss how these tools can support student learning. Describe how these tools can be used for a collaborative project, and you will be able to discuss how you can use them within your own courses to accomplish your teaching and learning goals. Okay, and now just a little bit about me. I have now a little over 30 years of experience in distance learning. I came to this country from Russia, then the Soviet Union, in 1989, and I spent 9.5 years teaching Russian from South Carolina Educational Television. This was under the umbrella of the Star Schools. And then I joined USC as an instructional developer, and now I work with the College of Nursing, has been with the College of Nursing for about 13 years, and we are very proud that now US News and World Report ranks us as #1 online graduate nursing program among public universities. #2 overall, but #1 among our public peers. Okay, well, I see that more and more folks are joining us, which is great. So, tools for collaboration. And today, let's focus on very simple tools, which we already have in Blackboard. Let's look at discussion boards, Wikis, and Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. And the reason why I selected these tools to talk about is because they are very easy to use. There's very little training that's required for students to become fully conversant with these tools. They are already in Blackboard. They are available for large groups and small groups, and they can be used separately, or all these tools can be combined to pull off a really nice, robust collaborative project. And on the right, please notice this little chart that will help us stay focused on the learning objectives. Because when we play with the tools, it's not the tool that should drive our thinking and design process. It's the learning objective. It's what we want to do, what we need, the goal that we need to accomplish. Then we determine what activity will allow us to achieve that learning goal. And then we'll look for a tool that will allow us to implement that activity. So learning objective, activity, technology. And let's stay on this line of thinking throughout this seminar. And even if I start kind of wandering away from it, please bring me back. Okay, now let's start with the discussion board because it's right on the surface. Everybody has done things with it. Everybody knows about it. But let's just talk about a few basics. Now, class discussion board, you know, it's easy to find. And this tool can be excellent for doing introductions. In our online courses and at the College of Nursing, we have pretty much our entire graduate program developed to students online in the asynchronous format. And we also have 5 fully online undergraduate courses. But our undergraduate program is a traditional on-campus program. It's just to ease scheduling, we had to put 5 courses online so that our students would not be so pressed for time. So in an asynchronous online course, we start the course with introductions in the student cafe. And students post their intros. They kind of look like entries on Facebook. And then the faculty posts a personal response to each student. And it becomes very nice, warm, human. And that's how you establish an atmosphere of trust and collegiality. Now, after we have done the introductions in week 1, then students will, and students engage with the course, then they will start having questions, either about the course content or about activities. And we set up forums where students can ask those questions, and the instructor monitors those forums and responds. We have a rule at the College of Nursing that now the faculty should respond within 24 hours during weekdays and then maybe 48 hours on weekends so that faculty can carve out some time for themselves. And I am pretty sure that you have also done similar things like that on the discussion board. Okay. But that's not the entirety of what discussion board is capable of. So let me give you a few other examples of what can be happening on discussion boards. And you know that in addition to the class discussion board, there are group discussion boards that are bundled with group tools. So online discussions can be conducted in small groups, and then the summary of that discussion written by a leader can be posted to the class discussion board. And then the class can look at those summaries. And this is a really nice way to let the students understand the diversity of thinking processes. If all groups in their small discussion solve the problem, well, let's look at the diversity of solutions for a problem. And that can be really intriguing and enjoyable. Okay. The class discussion board can also be used for project presentations. And we really like to do that with large classes. And of course, you have to give them a protocol. So what is a project presentation on the discussion board? Usually a team leader posts a really nice invitation to the class to look at their project and offer some feedback and critique. And this way, your project presentation is conducted in a very nice professional manner. And you can see examples in this slide. But not every activity on the class discussion board needs to be tied to a grade. The first example here, the temperament sorter, is a non-graded activity conducted at the beginning of a class where students just discover who they are, apply the Here's the Temperament Sorter to themselves, discover who they are, post their results on the discussion board and look for others who are either close to them according to the results of the temperament sorter, or are totally different, and just have a light discussion about how we are all different. So with discussion boards, we can do pretty much anything, but there has to be a strong purpose behind that activity on the discussion board. And very often I hear from faculty, oh, I'll just do some discussion boards. So please don't do discussion boards. Do discussions or other activities that have a purpose. And then all of a sudden your discussion board becomes meaningless and vibrant. Doing something on the discussion board just to check if students read the book is not going to give you a good quality discussion. So again, the purpose, learning objective, activity, and see if the discussion board is the right tool for that activity. Okay. And now the tool that the majority of our participants today are least familiar with, but I must admit it is one of my favorite tools in Blackboard. Okay, so what is a wiki? It is a collaborative website which can be edited by any member of the group. Now you can think Google Doc or a common collaborative writing space. And there are class wikis in Blackboard, and also there are group wikis. And a class wiki is very easy to set up. You simply come in a content area, you click on tools, and then select wikis from the drop-down menu. And you just proceed through maybe 2 or 3 more screens to set it up. But very, very easy. And a group wiki is created when you create groups and you select wiki as one of the group tools. So what do we use? What can we use wikis for? We use wikis a lot for purely administrative projects. For example, you have a course project and you allow students to select their own topics, which is a nice thing to do. It gives students a bit more ownership of the project if they can work on a topic of interest to all members of the group. But then if you have a large class and you have 20-something groups, how do you orchestrate the process of students signing up for their topics? If you use a discussion board, you have to go through a gazillion messages and somehow organize your notes. If you use email, it's going to be even more chaotic. So, wiki to the rescue. So that's how your sign up wiki can look like. You can create a class wiki and then put a nice table on the wiki, simply group, topic, team leader, and approval status by the instructor. And so what the students will do is they will come to the wiki, click on Edit Wiki Content button. This document will become writable, and the students will simply enter the group number, their topic, tell you who the group leader is for this project, and the instructor needs to be monitoring this process. And so that the instructor presence is visible to the students, we always add the approval status column where the instructor says approved, approved, okay, okay, good to go, and that kind of stuff. So at the end of the sign up process, you know exactly which group is working on which topic. Okay. And then if you have, for example, consultations with students. So your students are working on projects, but how do you know what is going on, whether they are actually working or not? So we ask students, or we require that they come to at least one consultation on a project with a faculty or a teaching assistant. Again, if you have a large number of groups in the class, we have to organize the process. So we set up Wikis and post available time slots and ask students to sign up for those time slots, and also tell us whether they are coming to the office for the consultation, or they want it on the phone, or we are going to do it through video conferencing. And again, this is nice and clean, and everybody signs up, and the whole process is organized. Okay. Does this make sense to everybody? Okay, can you see how on the administrative end of things, it just makes everything nice and smooth? Okay, good. Yes. So now,
Vera,
yes.
can you talk a little bit about how you made that table in the wiki?
Oh, how I made the table on the wiki. Okay.
Thanks.
On a blank, to add content to a blank wiki page, all you have to do is click on the Edit Wiki Content button, and you will see exactly the same editing window as you see on the discussion board. And so from here, the process is exactly the same as posting a discussion board message. And that's why I like this Blackboard wikis, because of the consistency of editing tools. So editing a wiki is the same as editing a message on the discussion board. You are not learning a new set of skills. And so you can, and there's a table tool. So you just select the table tool, how many columns, how many rows, punch in 1 for border thickness, and your table is ready. Then you start filling it out. Okay. I think the best way to learn all the technical details about how to run a wiki is maybe come to a wiki workshop conducted by our e-learning group, and they will show you how to handle it. And I hope that once we go over the 3 tools, there'll be enough time left for me to take you to a course and show you how it can be integrated in the course and all the activities. Okay, so with the group wikis, again, when you are setting up groups, you can set up a set, or you are setting up an individual group. Just select Wiki as one of the group tools, and then it will show here. And a group wiki works exactly like a class wiki, only it's now bundled with the group tools. And your students can be building beautiful projects, working in privacy. Other groups will not be able to see them. But of course, the instructor can look at everything, and that is great. because you can monitor the process of project development and provide feedback to students as necessary. And we use Wikis for this purpose quite a lot in our asynchronous courses. So now Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, and I am not going to talk a whole lot about this. So you can use it for live class meetings like we are using it right now. It can be used for small synchronous discussions. For example, when all this COVID stuff exploded and there's no more learning on campus and no more face-to-face learning, either in the classroom or in a lab or at another site, say such as a hospital, we had to think about what are we going to do with all these nursing clinicals when students go to hospitals and do something and discuss things and learn their clinical reasoning or clinical skills. So we replaced clinicals with virtual clinicals, and students were working on scenarios and then would meet in small groups with their clinical instructors through Blackboard Collaborate to discuss that clinical scenario. And it was a very nice experience, and students get to know each other very well, and they really enjoyed spending time in Collaborate with their clinical instructors talking about clinical cases. So this tool allowed us to take care of that cognitive aspect of clinical. We're still missing the the psychomotor, they actually laying hands on the patient. But the thinking process was very well taken care of in a small discussion through Blackboard Collaborate. And Blackboard Collaborate is now working much better than it did in mid-March. If you started using it in mid-March, it was challenging, but right now it seems to be running much smoother. And then, of course, you can have virtual hours, or you can make short recordings of yourself, say, presenting certain mini topics. And this can be pushed out to the whole class. So lots of interesting uses for Blackboard Collaborate. This semester, we are replacing Adobe Connect with Blackboard Collaborate on a student project in which students have to role play communication scenarios, make recordings, and then post these recordings to the class discussion board for the critique by the class. And so we hope that Blackboard Collaborate is a good tool for this activity. Okay, well, I can see that some of you started looking for where wikis are and how to set them up and other things. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. So at this point, let us take a quick stop. And does any questions, anything that you would like for me to elaborate a little bit more on? Please let me know where you would like to take this seminar in the second half. Okay, so the three tools that we are exploring today are discussion boards, wikis, and Collaborate. So if there are no questions, Okay, on the discussion board, do you break the class into groups? We usually, again, that can depend upon how large the class is. In a large class, and a large class, say, is more than 100 students. In a large class, we create groups, and then each group would have its own discussion board. And that's where students do their formal online discussions. Because it's easy to talk with 4 to 5 people, but then it's harder to talk with, 100 people. So students do their formal discussions, graded discussions, on their group discussion boards. And then if it's necessary, if it really makes sense within the setup of a course, we ask leaders of those small group discussions to share summaries on a large class discussions. So that's how we handle discussion groups. And then, of course, discussion boards support asynchronous discussions very nicely. But if you would rather do it synchronously, then Blackboard Collaborate is a tool to go. Okay, so let us move on. And so now, how do we use these 3 tools for one project? So if you have a large group project that students work on for half the semester, or say the entire semester, then we need to have requirements, guidelines, step-by-step instructions, sign-up sheets, and certainly you need to give your groups a toolkit. And in your toolkit, just include the 3 tools: Collaborate, discussion boards, group wiki. But again, the pedagogy presented on this side of the screen, with requirements, grading rubrics, the process to sign up for topics, project overview, this goes first. And then the toolkit supports everything that students have to do on the project. While the students are working collaboratively, they can use their group discussion board either for informal discussions, or you can set up forums for formal discussions, graded discussions that may be part of your big project. Like your first formal discussion may be selecting a theoretical framework for the project. Your second discussion may be finding a solution for the scenario included in the project. And when you have separate forums on group discussion boards, it's easy for students to know where to do the task, and it's easy for you to find where students completed the task. But not all discussions are graded. Okay. So if the deliverable from your project is a presentation on the wiki, then students are using that group wiki to add content to it and actually build the project. So you, as the instructor, can monitor the process and make sure that something is being added to the wiki. It's 3 weeks prior to the deadline. If there's nothing on those group wikis, then that may be a sign of trouble. So you can intervene and send out an announcement or an email to all group members who haven't put anything on the wiki. And collaborate can also be brought into this process, again, if there's a purpose behind it. You can simply incorporate collaborate as part of a group toolkit and give students an opportunity to meet in small groups to discuss the project, in which case they do it totally independently and it's not part of the grade. But if the project includes a scenario which students should think through and maybe a role play, then students can make recordings and post their recordings or incorporate those recordings into the project. In this case, it makes it really, really lively, really interesting. And again, the collaborate process is fairly easy. The group collaborate tool works exactly the same way as a class collaborate tool. Okay. So the project is done. The wiki is complete. If there are any recordings to be done with collaborate, those are done and incorporated into the project. What do we do next? How do we actually present the project? So what we do is create a special forum on the class discussion board, call it Final Project Presentations. And team leaders post invitations to the rest of the class to view and critique the project. Then the instructor has, if your project is presented on a wiki, the instructor needs to do a little legwork. You have to edit the properties on each group wiki and make them viewable by the class. And yes, this is possible. This is the best thing ever. Because working on a group wiki, while it's available for editing only to the group members, gives you privacy. And then your wiki can be released for viewing to the entire class. So this is now project presentation time. And it needs to be set up as a celebration. So the instructor will need to edit properties on group wikis, make them available to the class. Then the students view all wikis and prepare their critiques according to the criteria which you provided. And these critiques can be posted to the class discussion board, or you can come up with another mechanism. Sometimes we use surveys for students to submit their critiques. In large classes, this just makes the process a little bit more efficient. But to make it a moment of celebration, you can set up a survey and ask students to vote on the best project, the most creative project, the most innovative project, whatever you want it to be. This is kind of like the Academy Awards. And then you announce the results to the class. And we call it the Wiki Awards. So the award for best overall goes to Group 14. And the award for the most creative goes to Group 5. Yay! Students always, we always get near 100% participation in those Wiki Awards surveys because it's really exciting. And in that survey, include a question about what is your personal takeaway? What is your lesson learned? And it's amazing what you can find out. Okay, so these are a few student comments collected through the Wiki Awards survey. And look what students are telling us they learned by working on a wiki. When put that we nurses, when put in groups, will be successful in whatever we do collectively. I did not realize how creative and different everyone thinks. And that's a really valuable takeaway point. The most important thing I learned from these wikis is that no group's wiki was the same. Everyone's methods are different, but we all solved the problems. So they are beginning to appreciate collaboration, diversity of thoughts, and problem-solving approaches. It made us think as a group, and I enjoyed looking at other groups' creativity. And the last one, an awesome learning experience and a way for us to work together. This is what our graduate students are telling us about their experience using Blackboard Collaborate. In the final exam, which was set up as a presentation of proposals, 3-minute proposal presentation done within a small group. And they really enjoyed using Blackboard Collaborate technology. They enjoyed the whole format of that final exam, that 3-minute proposal presentation and Q&A with their peers. And students even had to score each other. The scoring sheets were prepared and distributed to them. They had to score each other. 50% of the grade for this final exam would come from the instructor, and the other 50% from peer scores. So all in all, that was a good experience and a good way to connect with team members. And I like Blackboard Collaborate better than Adobe Connect. Collaborate is easier to use. Yes, and the nursing, yes. Was this nursing class where you use these tools completely online? Yes, it was completely online, but you can use these tools in a hybrid course. It's even easier to do it in a hybrid course because you don't have to do so much through technology when all of your communication with the students is mediated. Okay, so if you are getting excited about these tools, then you can contact an instructional designer at CTE and learn more about it. And it's all about ideas. It's all about what your teaching and learning context is. What goals do you want to accomplish? What activities will take you to those goals? And then how can available tools be employed to support the activity which takes you to the goal? And you can schedule an individual consultation with an e-learning specialist, and they will walk you through every click in Blackboard to set up a class wiki, to set up groups with wikis. And yes, there is a learning curve in what is where and knowing where the editing controls are. And I noticed that Blackboard help for instructors has improved greatly in the past couple of years. It now actually contains some useful information and some very interesting ideas too. And so, yes, Casey is reminding everybody that on May 19th, there will be a virtual drop-in session where we can discuss these tools, or you can discuss these tools in greater detail. Okay, well, any questions or comments? Any ideas? What do you think can be done? What other things do you think can be done with these very simple, very economical tools that we have in Blackboard? Okay. We have a few minutes left. Would you like for me to show you a course with a really nice wiki project? Oh, Lydia is asking me, did I mention the debates? No, I didn't mention the debates, but yes, Lydia, thank you for reminding me. On the discussion board, you can do debates. You will have to give students a very detailed protocol on who posts when and how, and yes, you can have fantastic debates. Okay, so everybody would like a tour. So at this point, let me stop sharing this PowerPoint, and I will share application screen. Share. And we will jump into the course. Okay, well, at this point, Casey, if you could tell me if you can see Nursing 313, Nursing Care of the Older Adult.
Yes.
Yes.
You're good to go.
Okay, very good. So in this course, this is a fully online asynchronous course for undergraduate students. This course has enrollment that ranges from 100 to 140. So we are talking a fairly large course. We put this course online to accommodate clinical schedules. Because this semester, this is their first semester upper division, first semester, third year. Students begin doing clinical work at hospitals and other healthcare agencies, and scheduling those and on-campus courses is extremely challenging. So we put this course online to alleviate scheduling problems. Now, a major part of this course, the big summative assessment in this course, is a wiki project, or let's call it a course project, which students complete on a wiki. And so we prepared this whole section of the course with everything that the students need. So we start with the list of topics. Then that sign up wiki. And again, I can show this to you. The students click on this button. And as you can see, the wiki is now editable. They can add their information to it, and I'm going to cancel. That's how easy it is. So they are signing up for their project topics. They can look at the wiki project overview. This is a recording by the instructor talking about what she expects in each section of the course. Requirements and grading rubrics for the Course Wiki project. And this is a link to the syllabus, section, and it's all described here. The guidelines that provide more detail about each section, and the grading rubric. So students know exactly how they are going to be evaluated. And this is a brief outline of what should be found on the wiki. We are asking for a home page with the background information, epidemiology, impact on health or quality of life, nursing issues, references, and everything is specified in the guidelines, how much and of what, and then we want to see an author's page. And of course, there's peer evaluation at the end. Okay, so let's go back to the Course Wiki project. They sign up for 2 consultations. Second one is not quite as required. The first one is required, and they have to show up. The second one is not so required. So if they miss the second one, there's no penalty. There are examples, then how to read peer review research, more examples, peer evaluation form. This is a resource on how to develop a wiki and how to, a link to Purdue OWL, how to do APA formatting. So anything that the students need is housed in this section. Then as the students go through the course, how do they know what to do when? And in the weekly guides, we tell them what they should be working on each week. Like in week 3, we send them to the Course Wiki project to look at the overview, the wiki tutorial, the guidelines, grading rubrics, examples, etc., etc. And then they know that this week they select their topic and they get identify the timeline and start working on it. So every week we give them advice on what should be done that week. And then when they come to a consultation, they actually show us what has already been delivered. For the first consultation, they have to bring an outline and the first 5 references and an epidemiology section. So they work throughout the semester, and then the project is complete. So we go to this link, and these are all the wikis. And the instructor made this group wikis viewable by the class. So best overall was went to group 10. So let's look at group 10 wiki. Ooh, this is the nutrition wiki. So this is what they put on the home page, and a nice table of contents. These are all the group members and their collective picture. The first section, as requested, is epidemiology. Okay, now we are looking at epidemiology. And notice how the students added images so that this information is easier to be processed on the web. And a nice link to the next page. And now we are looking at impact on health or quality of life. Again, nice figures. And we can go to the next page. Okay. As you can see, this project took some really strong effort on behalf of the whole group. References. And we go to the next page. And this is our authors page. And we can go home now. We explored nutrition. So this is what a wiki project looks like. Okay, let me stop sharing and I can return to the course. Okay. Does that now make more sense with seeing what can be done and how it's done and how it fits within the course? Okay, sharing the peer evaluation form, yes, yes. So let me share application screen again. Okay, and we are here in the course wiki project section. Okay. Okay, and this is our peer evaluation form. We ask students to, I can enable editing here so it will look a little better. So we ask students to evaluate each other on quality, responsibility, and teamwork. And we explain what the scores mean. So, you know, they we don't try to incorporate peer scores into the grade, but the peer scores give the instructor a pretty good picture on how each group member contributed to the project. And then we have a policy that if the average of all scores on peer evaluation for a certain person is lower than this number, then that student is not going to receive the full credit. So that's how the grades can be adjusted according to peer evaluations. And if peer evaluations from a certain group really show that there was a lot of conflict, that certain members underperformed, then we call the whole group together and we talk about what happened and how then the group can recover moving forward. But we usually don't have a lot of group conflict or a lot of unpleasantness in the groups. And in a large course where you have, say, 18 groups, maybe in one or two groups there will be a conflict strong enough that it will affect the quality of their deliverable. And just please feel free to email me, and then I can send you a copy of this form. Okay, and I can stop sharing again and return to the course. Look at the chat. Oh, okay. Okay. It may be confusing. In this undergraduate nursing course where they did a wiki, peer evaluation was simply, a way for us to see whether or not students contributed to the course as they should have. In another course where we had a small group exam in Collaborate, yes, 50% of the grade for that final exam came from peer scores. So students were scoring each other's presentations, and then they submitted those to the instructor, and their peer scores were incorporated into the grade for the final exam. But peer scores, the scoring sheets for the final exam were actually a replica of the instructor's grading rubric. So the instructor is grading student presentations, and each student is grading their peer's presentation. Then, the average of the peer scores, the instructor grade, and that's your final exam grade. So that's how we handled it in that graduate course. But that was at a much higher level of learning, and it worked out pretty well. Students actually liked that their peers evaluated their performance after viewing their presentation and asking questions. Right, any? Here, what we are capturing in the context of Wiki project, the peer evaluation, what we are capturing here is quality. So yes, Wiki content is reflected. If a certain student was assigned the epidemiology section, and epidemiology is not well developed in that project, then yes, that would be how the content, or how the quality of the content or lack of it plays out in peer evaluation. So students evaluate each other on quality of their deliverables, quality of their contributions to the wiki, timeliness. If we all agree that we are going to finish our individual pieces 2 weeks prior to the due date, and one of us didn't, then that's not good. So we should report that on peer evaluation. And the teamwork, the general attitude. Were they supportive of each other? Did they work nice with each other? So those are the 3 things that we look at: quality of contribution, timeliness, and quality of teamwork. And we try to keep our evaluation instrument as simple as possible. And of course, when students downgrade their peers, we ask for explanations. Why are you scoring somebody lower than average? Okay.
Yeah, Vera.
Yes.
If you have a document that you wouldn't mind being shared with participants, we can just send an email to everybody.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I will be happy to. I will
if
be
you
happy.
send that to, if you send it to me, we'll get it taken care of.
Oh, okay. I certainly will.
Thanks for the suggestion, Barbara. Yeah, I think that we are wrapping up. So I think if we will go ahead and wrap up officially, and then if you have some extra additional questions for Vera, we can definitely do that. So thank you all so much for coming. There is an evaluation link in the chat box. I just put it in again. It's the same link. So if you can please fill out that evaluation so we can continue to improve upon the webinars that we're doing and will very much continue to be doing for the foreseeable future. That will be great. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Vera, for your great presentation and all that great information.
Oh, thank you for letting me do this, because I do enjoy talking about this project. I love collaborative projects with multiple tools and really interesting deliverables. So if you would like to brainstorm ideas with me, just contact me and we can chat about it.